Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, August 18. On this date in 1993, WCW held its Clash of the Champions 24 Supercard. In the main event, Vader defeated Davey Boy Smith to retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 1996, WWE held its SummerSlam pay-per-view. In the main event, Shawn Michaels defeated Vader to retain the World Wrestling Federation Championship. On this date in 2004, TNA held its weekly pay-per-view number 107. In the main event, AJ Styles defeated Kid Cash in a street fight. On this date in 2008, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Chicago, Illinois. In the main event, Chris Jericho defeated CM Punk. This has been Today in Wrestling History, August 18.
Hi, this is Jim Cornette, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon on 1490 WBCB.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, at least in spirit and voice, as physically I'm north of the border on a Canadian vacation, but I'll be back next week where we've got a jam-packed show, going to review SummerSlam, and also, since I'm north of the border, I want to know who is your favorite Canadian wrestler of all time. Going to take another quick look at the Facebook feedback before the next interview that I've got for you. Eric from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew chiming in. He says, I'm looking forward the most to Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho, that match at SummerSlam. I've heard from Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez from WrestlingObserver.com that Jericho's planning on taking some time off after SummerSlam to tour with Fozzy. And being a longtime Jerichoholic, I'm looking forward to seeing how they'll write Jericho out for now. Ziggler's been a great performer in the last few years, and Jericho is Jericho. Hopefully their match is a show stealer. He also notes Fozzy's new album, Sin and Bones. It was released this past Tuesday. And John from the Northeast chiming in as only he can. I think this is just a little tongue-in-cheek. He says, if only Crime Time were used correctly, it would have made for a very, very good and competitive tag team division. Let's take you now to someone who was very competitive in a lot of different things, from football to wrestling, made his way up to the NWA and WCW World Heavyweight Championships, also a longtime NWA United States champion, and someone who I was a huge fan of and really got me into becoming a mark for the business, and still am to this day, and it was an absolute pleasure getting a chance to meet one of my heroes, the total package, Lex Luger. 1490 WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. Welcome back. Fearon Derry here from Sinomania 7 with one of the legends, one of the greats, in my opinion, should be a Hall of Famer, at least in the WWE. Vince hasn't quite gotten around to that yet. I think it should be coming soon, though. Some might know him as the Narcissist. Some might know him as Made in the USA. A lot of you know him as the Total Package. Here is the one, the only, Lex Luger.
Wow, what an intro there, Fearon. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Oh, wow. So many questions. I guess we'll just, look at your overall career. Was there a particular moment in your career that, that kind of stands out as a favorite or something of that nature?
It's hard to even choose. I had so many wonderful moments for 15 years, from 1986 to 2001. Got to start out with the Four Horsemen right on the very, very top of our profession with an incredible group of guys. That was a real highlight. My career as the Narcissist, and then onto the Lex Express, and that was tremendous time. The Slam heard around the world with Yokozuna, USS Intrepid, that was incredible. My time with the NWO, those days, the Monday Night Wars were a real highlight. My world title win on national TV over Hulk Hogan, the Immortal One. He never lost on live television before, so that was huge. Detroit, they went crazy that night. It was so unexpected. So, I had almost 5,000 matches, so it's hard to pick out, in so many wonderful moments, it's hard to really just pick out any one moment, but those are some of the highlights.
And certainly some great highlights. I'm just kind of like thinking back as you're kind of running them off. I'm thinking, the Lex Express, I remember that pulled up right next to the Spectrum here in Philly. I'm a Philly guy as well, so obviously that jumps out at me.
The Spectrum, and what was it, the Civic?
Well, it had a few names over the course of the last couple. The Civic Center. That's right. I was going forward instead of backward.
They've knocked it down.
Yeah.
Show you how long I'm getting in years. The buildings I wrestled are here no more. Some of them.
Well, some of them, and then some are still standing around.
Absolutely. I'm almost in awe a little bit here. Like I mean, with seeing you and Bret Hart standing in the same room as I said.
These are incredible experiences for us as well. Sometimes in life, Fearon, we are in a kind of warp speed doing something. Like we did for wrestling, sometimes over 300 events in a year. And until I retired, I've had time to reflect with a little bit of God's wisdom. I never had a full appreciation for wrestling and the tremendous impact it's had on families and people that come up to me and sometimes in tears and say you were their favorite or their grandfather's favorite. They used to watch them when they were a little kid. And to see the joy that we had so much fun doing at the time, but sometimes you don't have a full appreciation for the impact that God allowed us to do, to be able to entertain people, really people welcoming you into their homes. I think that makes wrestling very unique. And to come back into these events, like you say, I almost have lost words sometimes, just like you are right now, because to see the moms and dads bringing their kids who only can see us living on YouTube right now, but say, this is who I watched, and this was my guy, or this guy was the one I showed you, Torture Rack. It's very, very special to me and all the guys here. And also for us, Fearon, to get together last night at the hotel and here today with all the guys that I was with J.J. Dillon out there, and I hadn't been around him for years. We're joking and talking about some of the old matches and some of the times we had outside wrestling, and man, it's a really special event like these. I understand what you're saying. Very, 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 very cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned moments, and I know, at the behest of my listeners, I'm going to have a bit of a mark-out moment here. I mean, you're the reason, when I was 12, 13 years old, I was wearing red, white, and blue, during that whole Lex Express run. I mean, leading all the way up, into 95, right before going over to Nitro that first night. I mean, that was, I wanted to be like Made in the USA Lex Luger, so that's why I'm almost shaking a little bit here, like an idol almost.
Thank you, Fearon. It's very cool, and I appreciate that. I'm very flattered, and those are really special moments. We had a lot of fun, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the body slamming of Yokozuna on the Intrepid, of course, that huge SummerSlam '93 match.
Yeah. How old were you then?
SummerSlam '93, I would have just turned 12 years old.
Oh, wow. You were prime wrestling age. That is cool.
Yeah, that '93, that was the year that kind of soaked me in. I mean, my first event, which I know has gotten mixed reviews over the years, the first match that I saw and everything kind of clicked was WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace. You had that match against Mr. Perfect.
Oh, the mirrors and all the women coming out. Spectacular. Yes, that was a lot of fun. Funny in that match, though, they put me with him because it's my first WrestleMania, because Kurt is a wonderful guy. Also, guys, one of the premier workers ever in our business, and he got in the match, and we talked about a few things we wanted to thrill the fans with out there, and he completely forgot them when we locked up. So I didn't really think about it. I'm sitting back with my feet kicked up. I got Mr. Perfect the rest of the night. I don't have to think out there really. He's gonna we're gonna have a spectacular match. I left him, he goes, "What are we doing?" I was like, "Oh my goodness, you don't remember what we're doing?" It was quite the moment of panic for me.
Hey, but it still turned out to be a pretty good match. I mean, everything was kind of overshadowed, I guess, by Hogan winning his, I guess, 5th WWF title at the time, if I remember right, later in the night after not even being in the main event match. Kind of amazing how that had happened.
That first WrestleMania at Caesar's Palace, I went to the first WrestleMania I'd been to in a long time at Atlanta, where I reside now, and to see how it was a big deal then, but to see now, I was at the Hall of Fame the night before, sold out in Phillips Arena. Then the next morning I was at the hotel, and people came up to me at the lobby of the hotel where we were staying. It was, fans from all over the globe. And to see the production on the stage and everything compared to like that Caesar's Palace WrestleMania, man, it is, wrestling continues to grow. It's pretty spectacular.
And we're certainly looking forward to it. Talk to us a little bit about your time with the days of the NWO Wolfpack, and rolling with Sting and Kevin Nash and Savage. I mean, that was another favorite time of mine. I know, I had tons of red and black, NWO T-shirts at the time. Doing the Wolfpack symbol everywhere. I mean, what was that like for you? Rolling with those guys.
Oh, it was fantastic. That was one of the main highlights that ever in my career, and. Both with the guys and the crowd and the reaction and the Monday Night Wars. I mean, ratings were like doubling and tripling for both companies. It was a real high time for wrestling. I mean, there was high school and college parties every Monday night, and it was spectacular. It really was. It was a lot of fun.
You say that because, I mean, at that point I was in high school, so I'm thinking back to some of those that I had. Monday nights. Yeah,
Monday night was a big party night in front of the TV. It was great.
That and pay-per-view parties, Super Brawl this, and WrestleMania, SummerSlam, all the in-your-house pay-per-views going on, Halloween Havoc. I mean, it's just going back and forth. I'm surprised I can afford to do anything now after all those pay-per-views.
Yeah, the competition, Bill, brought the best in both companies. It was a great time in wrestling.
I'm still starstruck. I mean, I've been chatting with you here for now. It feels like 20 minutes, but it's only been about 8. It's amazing.
It flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it does. I'm just overwhelmed. I mean, let's talk a little bit, I guess, now post career. What you've been doing. How you've been keeping yourself busy. I know there was obviously, I guess, a physical setback. We'll call it for lack of a better term. Enlighten us a little bit about that, if you could.
Yeah, my recovery's been supernatural. I'm thankful to the good Lord and everyone at Shepherd Center Atlanta. They're a world class. I suffered a spinal cord injury in a world class, and I was never supposed to have. I had a 0 to 5% chance of any movement for the neck down the rest of my life with all the top neurologists on the planet. As you can see me walking around here today, I'm very thankful to the Lord, but also all the great gratitude to all the therapists and doctors and nurses and techs at Shepherd Center. I'm continuing to make progress. My health is phenomenal. I'm not the Lex Luger throwing people in the torture rack, but to be able to do the things that I once took for granted, now just walking around and putting my feet in the floor in the morning, I'm very thankful, and I feel very fit. I do a lot of incredible God's Open Lot Doors with ministry. I do a lot of ministry with Nikita Koloff, who is the Russian Nightmare, and he's an evangelist, and we go around on weekends. We do a lot of motivational and positive speaking, going to schools, and just share a positive, uplifting message about making good choices. I also do a lot of work, but still in fitness and nutrition. I always had a passion for health and wellness. I have a company called Total Package Fitness in Atlanta, which God's blessed incredibly just by word of mouth. I do corporate fitness and wellness. I work with a lot of top athletes on their nutrition and training programs, so that keeps me busy during the week. And as I said, we do a lot of stuff speaking on the weekends, so that keeps me very busy. But when I do have time to come to these events, it's very special to me, these events with the wrestling, to get reconnected.
And you certainly have done that. I mean, I'm certainly. I'm feeling connected here. I mean, just like I said, childhood heroes and things of that nature. And
it's a really cool sport.
It is, and we can. Things have been a little bit down. I mean, TV wise and buy rate wise, and hopefully, things.
Wrestling's always been cyclical with the economy, like everything else in times. But man, it has endured. And I'm sure these young guys are going to take it to a whole new level, and it's going to spike again, and it's going to be on fire in ratings. And I think wrestling is here to stay for sure.
I certainly hope so, because otherwise I won't have a show.
I have no worries.
Hopefully, neither do I. I'm sure. I'm sure the folks up north in Stanford and down there in Florida, they'll get things rolled around or rolling a little bit together, and hopefully soon we'll be seeing you in that Hall of Fame induction, because it's certainly warranted.
It would be a great honor and privilege if I ever get there. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The Narcissist, the Made in the USA, the Total Package, the one, the only Lex Luger. Thank you so much for the time. It's been an absolute treat talking to you.
Thank you, and God bless your show and all the future endeavors that you're in. Thank you.
The Total Package, Lex Luger, an honor to talk to him, and hopefully we can have him on the program again. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I'll be back live in studio next week to go over the results of SummerSlam and discuss your favorite Canadian wrestler of all time. Don't forget tomorrow over at George's Cards and Collectibles at the Oxford Valley Mall, Matt Hardy and Shelly Martinez. They'll be in the house from 1 until 3 o'clock. For more information or to get your tickets, call 215-943-2475 or log on to georgescollectibles.com, and I'll be back with you next week. Thanks so much again for listening. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.